Hey everybody, before we get going, I want to let you know that our guest today, Dejan Tyler, just put out his debut comedy album, Get Rich or Diabetes, on Uproar Comedy. We're actually going to be playing a clip from the album at the end of the episode. If you want to stick around for that, we truly appreciate it. You can find the album at uproarcomedycd.com, Amazon, Spotify, and iTunes. All right, let's get into the show. Thanks so much. Welcome to Barley and Me. This is episode 87. I'm your host, Ben Rice. We're here today at Big Stump Brewing in Sacramento, California with Alex Larrabee.
Hello, everyone.
And comedian Dejan Tyler.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
You guys may remember them. Dejan was on an episode with Monk Cellar years ago.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
that was a while ago.
And Alex much more recently at the California Craft Beer Summit.
Hey, Tanner.
So, how's business here at Big Stump?
We're doing great right now. We just got through a 25-seat outdoor expansion where we had to close for a few days, re-pour all the concrete out front, and then but we're able to add some patio seating. Big Stump right now, we're just about 2 years in, and we're starting to butt up on tank capacity, and so it's been interesting for us looking at the next big steps, which with our 10-barrel brew house, I think, is installing a line of 20-barrel fermenters and then starting to expand into new markets. So a really fun and exciting time, and definitely out of the highest risk startup phase. And so I can start sleeping a little bit at night now, definitely.
So how long have you guys been open here at Big Stump?
So we opened, soft opening was September 5th of 2016.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds right. Yeah,
so I was living right here when that happened.
A lifetime ago.
Like, how long ago did I move? It's a whole, yeah.
But I think what's been so great about the company is we've grown so much and really dialed in our system, and now we're looking at making this next jump, which professionally, I think will be really fun for my guys. It's just brewing a lot more multiple times a week. And I know Richard, our lead brewer, is very stoked about that.
Yeah, so tell me about finding your footing as a brewery, like what you came into with the idea of what you're going to be and what you kind of have evolved into over these 2 years.
So I came in, I have a homebrewing background like a lot of the breweries in Sacramento. Our brewery was started by a person that has a homebrewing background, and I would say one of the biggest transitions is, as the company has grown, for me to step off the brewing side and start managing the business side of things more. Like there's definitely as you grow a need for someone to fill that role, and also I'm in my mid-30s, and brewing's definitely a young man's game at the same time. My back can only take so much. So yeah, I guess it was, for me, it's been interesting with the growth because I get further away from the brew floor, I would say, as time goes on.
Yeah, and D, you're a stand-up comic.
Yes.
You have a new album out?
Yeah, I do. I have a new album out. It released October 26th. It's called Get Rich or Diabetes.
Love it.
So tell me about your growth as a comedian, like what you came out starting thinking you were going to do in comedy, and then what you've become over the years.
Oh, exactly this, man. This is what I imagined, man. Doing a podcast in a brewery, playing Street Fighter, possibly. I mean, like, everything is just, like, converging. Oh, nah. Seriously though, man. I didn't really know what would happen. I just kind of just jumped out there. I always wanted to do it. So, I mean, it's the biggest thing I've done so far is putting this album out. That's like huge for me.
Yeah. So how long you been at it?
Oh man, since 2005.
Yeah.
2000. So it's been a long grind. But I'm like, well, after that many years, I had enough for an album.
I once saw you do 25 minutes on just like one time you had a bike. It was so funny. It's like, yeah, I just had this bike, and there was this dog that was mean down the street. And it's like 25 minutes of material from that. That was nuts.
Man, that's a true story, man.
Yeah, but like, how has your comedy evolved from 2005 to now? Like, has there been any big change? Like, to me, I feel like just getting more comfortable doing comedy is really all you had to come up with because you're great at stand up.
Thank you. Thanks, man. I think what's changed the most is I've because I had to find my lane, you know. So like one of the main themes of my album is thug nerd, you know. So I had to find, you know, it to me it was a new concept. But nobody was doing that. I don't think there's too many thug nerds out there when I was coming up with this. So, you know, I was like, well, how can I present this, like, you know, and stay true to both genres that I deal with. So, yeah, it's just been refining, like trying to find my own voice as a comedian, as a person. You know, like, what do I really care about? And I still don't even think I've even scratched the tip of the iceberg yet. There's still a lot more levels to go to. But so right now, out of everything I've written since 2005 that has been doing this, I've took these jokes from concepts and then worked on them. They're the best they can be. Like, there's nothing else to do with these jokes, but like, let's let them go into the world. Kind of like children, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Send them off to college. Don't come back.
Or beers.
Yeah. Well, I actually thought there's just an interesting crossover, like with just being passionate about what you're doing, right? And it's that wanting to work on it to perfect it, and you know, maybe where you start out is not always where you want to be, but just, you know, working hard to get there. You know, I think there's definitely a lot of crossover in craft beer with that similar sentiment as well, where, you know, same thing, take an idea, even though it's beer instead of jokes, but like take an idea, work on it, refine it, and then kind of create something that's in the world and out there. And yeah, totally, it's like the creative process in a nutshell, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And then for you guys at Big Stump, like your thug nerd is being like a sour brewery based in Sacramento local.
Yeah.
Because there's Sacramento regional sour breweries, but you guys really are knocking it out of the park on the sour front.
Yeah, we our Pilsners won some medals as well. I will note that, but yeah, people really like our sours. You know, it's interesting with our program. We use a lot of Brett, the wild yeast, in our beers, and part of what allows us to do this is we have a series of inline water heaters, and so they're able to get us about a third of a barrel a minute of 185 degree water. And so really we're able to heat sanitize the majority of our brewing equipment in addition to your normal caustic and acid sanitizer. But we found the heat sanitization to be really crucial to preventing cross-contamination of wild yeasts into clean beers. And it's just something that through our standard operating procedures, which we've refined over a long time, that, you know, aren't super fun but are super necessary. You know, now we feel confident going from a wild beer and cleaning a fermenter and then putting a clean beer into it. But basically with our Brett, we're super stoked right now. We're trying out some new Brett blends with this upcoming round and switching from a single isolate to a 5 Brett strain. And I want to shout out to Andrew from Flatlands. Thank you very much. But other than that, it's exactly what we're talking about, always trying to make that next step better. Upcoming beers we have are Peach and Apricot Chardonnay Barrel-Aged Sour. Then we're rebrewing our Capulet's Orchard, which is a raspberry and rose hip sour. It's essentially dry hopped with rose hips. And then we're trying a new cocktail style sour, actually, that's basically in the style of a Singapore Sling. So it's like a modern take on a creek, I would say. So using about 200 pounds of dark cherries, but then mashing grains of paradise, lemongrass, juniper berries, and so basically taking a take on gin and tonic, goes a sour,
Nice.
right, and then layering some cherry on that. It was the basic idea. Carb the ever-loving hell on it, and just back sweeten it with the tiniest bit of lactose, like we've been doing in a few of our sours recently. And so, we're just doing that one to see how it turns out. But I'm really stoked on that as well. And I think we're always trying to get better here and make the beers better. And, I think it's shown as our following's grown over the last 2 years as well. It's like really, it takes a while to just figure out the system and figure your processes out as a startup. But once you start hitting your stride, it's a really fun time for the company.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you were using that water to kind of make it easier to transition from wild to clean beer. Is that mainly because of the size constraints of the brewery currently? Are you planning on, once you expand, getting a wild side versus a clean side?
I think we'll have this one facility, and or I would love, through expansion plans, to turn this place into a 100% tap room, and then have a larger production facility. The market is not, I think, as conducive to growing so big into that 5,000 to 8,000 or 5,000 to 10,000 barrel range anymore. And I think in our region, we've also a lot of the brewery closures have been in breweries that have existed in that range. I think it's just very difficult, just a difficult size to exist in right now. But tap rooms or chains of tap rooms that have good location and good local following, like that, I think that is the new kind of successful model for smaller sized breweries, and also people looking to break into the business.
Yeah, those satellite tap rooms are really doing pretty well compared to expanding out on your production side and trying to make the business in kegs and bottle sales.
Your highest margin is direct to consumer, pints direct to consumer, and it doesn't. Anything else doesn't compare. Yeah.
Exactly. How does comedy tie in to beer distribution? I have no idea. I can't think of a thing.
I don't know, but I got beer.
I just know comedy is pretty much entirely direct to consumer.
Because I'm pretty sure I know the least about beer.
That's not true. He's a liar
right now. But I do have one. What made you come up with the name Big Stump?
So it's a reference to Sacramento being the city of trees, basically, and then Stump Speech is kind of rolled into that as well. So
as a capital city,
Sacramento's the big stump. It's where shit happens, baby. Like, come on, yeah.
Okay, I can dig it. Now, my other question is, what makes the sour sour? Because I like sours, and this is actually pretty good. And
I'll take it.
Because the first time I ever had a sour was with this guy. We went. I don't know what brewery we went to.
Was that with G-Buzz? Was it Open Face Hipster Day?
Yeah, it was Open Face Hipster Brewery.
Yeah, Russian River. We were at Russian River.
Yeah, well, I call it Open Face Hipster because, like, if you could personify a hipster as a sandwich, it would have been this guy. Like, he had just, like, I don't know.
He had like the swooped hair and like the beard and like a vest and like over a flannel like button down.
Yeah,
like
it's just bracelets. Just
it was just like the hipsterest hipster that ever hipstered.
Yeah,
but then at the same time, like he had that.
It was hip squared.
Yeah, he had that like meatloaf kind of vibe. Like
Oh man.
But I had the sour there, and then after that, I tried some sours at other places, and I did not like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried this one, and this one was really good. So,
well, thank you. The souring is contributed by a few bacterial strains, so lactobacillus, pediococcus, and it's these lactic bacterial families. They take. So there's two ways to kind of create sour in beers. One is the kettle souring process, where you do initial fermentation with the bacteria, and they consume a bunch of the sugars, and basically take the sugars and convert it into lactic acid and a few other related acids in smaller proportions. The other one is to take a beer that has residual sugar in it and put it in a barrel And then over time, the natural bacteria that are in the barrel, which are these lactic and pediococcus bacteria, will consume the remaining sugars and sour the beer.
That doesn't sound edible. Like pediococcus doesn't sound like. Every time you say that, I'm like, look at my beer, like that's what I'm drinking.
It's like, but yogurt's the same kind of process, so it's all in that related.
So it's like the yogurt of beer.
You could say that. I guess.
I think kettle sours are known like as in the industry, kind of as like, you throw some yogurt in it.
Oh, that's what
you can use the yogurt as a starter. There are breweries that do that.
It's frowned upon, but
I think kettle sours. We do a lot of them, and I think it's a hard technique to get down. It takes a while, and I think there's definitely some out there in the market, where process should be tightened up a little bit. Yeah.
Now, when you talk about yeast, right? Yeast for beer, any yeast you can use? Because I've heard that there's a beer that's made from human yeast. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, there's beard beer, and then there's the vaginal yeast beer that exists also.
That's the one I'm talking about.
I knew, but I was like, I'm going to offer up beard beer first.
So running with that,
technically,
you can make beer out of any yeast. Whether you want to drink the resulting alcoholic product is another question. Yeah.
So how do you even select the right
yeast strains and all that?
Yeah, how do you test which yeast you're going to use? Which chick you're going to hey.
So that gets in. There's a whole laboratory side behind beer that we have a very small lab where we're not big enough to have something huge. But there's white labs or omega yeast are actual labs that propagate and genetically sequence yeast, and they've created this whole ancillary business to craft brewing where they solely just maintain and propagate and sell yeast and bacterial cultures. So there's a whole supporting lab industry for brewers now.
Yeah, because it's 100 years of research and okay, we're just going to keep this cultivated for you. And we did the research and said this works best with this style of beer. And they're like, well, I think it might work with this style of beer. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it goes.
So the yeast makes a big difference. The type of yeast is that what separates the styles of beers? Is the type of yeast, or there's other?
Yeah,
factors?
I mean, that's totally right. The biggest split in beer is ales and lagers, which are two distinct families of yeast. But with what you're trying, the Brett is way acid tolerant. It ferments a lot of the ropiness out of beer, like the lacto and pedio, a little bit of the milky funk out of it. With our hazy IPA, that yeast comes across as really juicy when it's fermented warm. With the Pilsner, we ferment it really low and slow to get a super clean crispness to the beer. And so yeast selection and the temperature it's fermented at is definitely a major part of the flavor in beer.
Yeah. When you're drinking a Belgian beer, when you get that clove and banana, that's from the yeast, from that kind of stuff.
You can make yeast from your beard?
I mean, technically, yeast is in pretty much everything.
It's ambient in the air everywhere.
What?
Yeast is everything.
Can you make me and Ben into a beer? Just a couple...
the beard beer was a guy scratching his beard and whatever fell out into it was,
So you could theoretically do a starter and pre-acidify it to a 4.5 pH. Take some of your beer, drop it in, and then whatever fermented out, try the starter, and then you could prop up a batch and make beer out of that.
Yeah.
Wow. You could drink yourself.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. That's gross.
That's gross.
Really? You think so? I don't think you drink. I think
We're going to
do it over that.
We're going to do it. And then you guys have experimented a little bit with open fermentation as well, which is where you collect that ambient yeast a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah. We've actually switched our kettle souring process. We now actually knock out the wort into the hot liquor tank and treat that as as an ambient or as a fermentation vessel and redirect the chiller water that would normally go in the hot liquor tank. We did have a ambient yeast that we picked up through our stack when we were kettle souring in our boil kettle that went into some barrels and turned out really nicely, actually. But
Nice.
it does happen occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you plan on going into that mode at some point? Well, I guess the brewery later doesn't really allow for it too much.
So, as we get a little bit bigger, we're starting to eye a second location that I think will include a more traditional barrel room. And we'll just see as all that develops. I think where we're at, as we're butting up on tank space, that the jumps in brewing are so capital intensive. Like just to get open is so much, and then when you're starting to operate at capacity, it's like you can do these growth steps, but it'll take a year to make the money to reinvest, or hopefully what you can do is do subsequent rounds of financing, which is what we're in the middle of right now, to kind of establish a rapid pattern of growth with the company. But it's also a challenge just to drive growth and manage cash flow when you're at a distributing business where people don't always pay on time, or there's that 30-day float between selling something and getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I deal with that a lot. Because my regular job, I'm in property management, and I order stuff, and then I know there's we got to pay this in 30 days. But some of the smaller companies, they're like, no, we need our money now. Like, what's in your pocket, right? So yeah, I don't know. Is this still considered a small business at this point though, or is there?
We're just over 10 employees, I would say, at this point, and we'll see. I mean, we definitely drive the economy. The amount of money in and out every month freaking scares me, right? Yeah, totally. But it feels small still. But I don't know. Or I guess as you grow, it's been interesting for us because it's finding the right people, retaining them, and making strategic hires for growth. It's something that we've been learning as we're growing, and it's definitely HR is a challenge at times, but when you have good people, it's definitely important to make them happy, and keep them happy, right? Yeah.
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 Yeah, and as you get better or as you grow and things like that, you got to make sure your employment's better and your employees are better and they're updated on the new stuff that's coming out. And all that, it's just a lot. It's a lot. I can't even imagine.
Our core guys are just fantastic right now, and I think where we're headed, there's definitely room for some hires with experience. It's just why take it on the chin for 5 years figuring it out when we can have someone that's kind of been through it before. I'm a little tired of getting kicked in the teeth, right? Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about beer is everybody's even all the drinkers are they're looking for the next new thing. Even brewers that are lead brewers or head brewers that want to try their own thing will be like, hey, there's an opportunity somewhere else. And I can come over here and maybe do what I want to do and be a part of a culture that I have heard good things about.
Yeah, I think the team culture, people being a good fit, it's the most important thing. You need people to be accountable, but having people that work well together and that want to work hard together, that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, carrying that same goal at the end of it. At the end of the day, you want the same thing.
Let's all get paid off of beer. How awesome is that? Yeah.
How do we do it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe make good beer.
Just throw some fucking yeast in it. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
It's we were scratching our heads. We just let it linger over the fermenter.
How do you start? Did you go to school for this, or you just started as just brewing at home and just kept learning as you went along, or?
Yeah, I had a homebrew background, and then I worked for maybe 6 months at a brewery that ended up failing. This was just nights and weekends for free, but this brewery in the area that closed. And their new owners don't like me naming names, but
I got
that's
you.
fine. And that's where I picked up the finer points of the industrial side, and then other than that, just a freaking high tolerance for risk and kind of getting people excited. And one of my homebrew beers won Best of Show at the State Fair in 2014, and that was what got everyone interested in the pro side of stuff, I would say.
When you started home brewing, you weren't using like the Brew Buddy thing, right? Have you seen that advertised?
I have seen those.
Is that any good? Because I was thinking like I can make my own beer, but I'm thinking like, it's kind of like easy bake kind of vibe. Like,
until Brew Buddy sends me one and I can do a review of it, I'm not sure I'll be able to answer that question. Right?
Nice.
Yeah.
So I think it's called Brew Buddy. I'm not sure, but that sounds right?
Yeah.
Brew Buddy.
My first one was that plastic one. What's that one called?
It looks like a keg, right? It looks like a barrel.
Not really. It looks like
Mr. Beer.
Mr. Beer, yeah.
Mr. Beer is a barrel.
The little plastic barrel.
Shitty one.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I got one of those for Christmas one year with like 3 packs or whatever to start.
Was it like the top ramen of beer? You just pour the flavor back.
Yeah.
And then you drink a beer that you're like, I don't want to have this again.
I don't think I like beer.
Yeah. I don't think I should be brewing beer. That's what it makes you think. I don't think this is for me. I followed the directions and it's not good. I think I should quit.
I'd be a lot cheaper just go buy some beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You think you're gonna make all the money? You're like, once I get good at this, water's cheap and these ingredients are that
It takes
expensive.
forever to get good at it. Yeah.
It's like I only spend like $45 on ingredients, and I have 5 gallons of beer that I don't want to drink, and can't by the time it goes like useless. It's so much work.
What can you do with it after you eat? There's really not a lot you can do with bad beer.
What'd you do? I mean, I know my first batch of like non Mr. Beer. I me and my buddy split.
Dump a lot of bad stuff. It doesn't turn out.
Yeah.
Just take it as. I have actually. It's funny. My homebrew kettles now are the tanks that hold our caustic and sanitizer in the brewery. They're part of our keg washer now. So they went from my most prized homebrewing possessions to just like these like fuck it chemical tanks in the brewery. Yeah. But that's kind of, as you're making those, that's totally right. Yeah.
Hey, at least you didn't throw them out.
They work great.
You repurposed them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cost savings.
Integral to washing thousands of barrels of cakes now. Yeah.
That's like comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like you have jokes that you like. I love this joke. This is my best joke. I'm telling this joke last every time because they need to go home with this joke. And after a while, you're like, it moves slower and lower down.
Yeah. It's like I gotten better.
Then there's something else you just throw in there.
And now it's like, it's there if I need it.
Yeah, if I need it.
It's over there. Like all my dirty material. Like I don't even do any dirty material anymore. Like this room really hates this very thoughtful, intellectual stuff I'm doing. Here's this old dirty joke I used to close with.
Go into the caustic vat of discarded comedy.
Well,
it's a perfect analogy. Good job.
That was exactly right. Yeah. God, what did we do? I mean, I still think some of it is just sitting in my in-laws' garage somewhere, ready to explode. I'm sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what you do. Like, you just throw like a party? Like, you just like invite a bunch of friends over, like, come on, let's go get drunk on this beer, and hopefully you like it. And just
wonderful homebrew.
Yeah. This is award winning, and they're like, yeah.
Really? Which award?
Yeah. Oh man.
There is something I heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I wonder if you guys can confirm. I heard that there was a menthol beer. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that.
That they tried to make, like, somebody said they got like a case of these malt liquor menthol infused beer. I don't think they ever took off. I think they were just trying it out. Have you ever heard of that before?
I have not.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past.
Right, I wouldn't. Right, I'm like everybody wants minty beer. Everybody wants that.
I think they're like, you know what? Newports, they love them. Malt liquor, they love them. If we put them together, we got something here.
Well, I know E40 came out with a 40.
Yeah, I love E40, man, but his beer has a flavor. It's like honey or something. I don't like flavored beers. I don't like malt liquor really at all.
Yeah. Well, I think he wanted to just like bring back the 40, but like class it up a little bit.
Right.
And like honey's an expensive ingredient. You know, it's not a cheap thing to have.
It's not bad. It's malt liquor, man. And once you start drinking beer, like really drinking the beer and exploring different beers, like it's kind of hard to drink malt liquor, dude. Like it's kind of like.
But I think that's what he's going for. Is like a transitional beer. Like, hey, you have 40s. Have you tried craft beer? Like, no. Like, okay, how about this? I'll give you honey in your 40, and then you'll eventually like.
I dig it.
Something mead? I don't know.
His wine
Jack
is good.
Daniel's Devil's Cut. Yeah,
His wine and his music are awesome. I love E40, but I'm not drinking the beer again. I bought his album, but I'm not drinking the beer. I listen to it sober. I love E40, man.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard to just. I don't know. What is malt liquor? Why is malt liquor so ranked? Like what?
It's just cheap adjuncts thrown in there.
Ingredients.
Cheap ingredients, like corn, rice.
Not proper
malts.
fermentation.
So it's like the Tostino's pizza of beers.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like.
It's like if you fermented Fritos or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Fritos of beer. Yeah.
Did you know
sorry,
Doritos
I'm about
are?
to be sued by Fritos. No,
Yeah.
Did you know Doritos are flammable?
What?
Yes. I was at a barbecue and the fire was going out, so somebody said just throw a couple Doritos on there, and they threw a couple Doritos on the coals, and it.
Cool.
I didn't
So
know
those
that.
flaming hot Cheetos are for real.
They were regular Doritos. I didn't know Doritos were that combustible. I still like them. But
Yeah, there's a lot of chemicals involved. I guess one of them probably is flammable. It's probably that math adds up.
It's the oils.
Ooh, look at this
Trans
guy.
fats, baby.
yeah.
Oh, did you know that malt liquors are making a mini comeback? Like, there's craft malt liquors now.
Really?
People want to make them just to see,
I'll
like,
give it a
it's like a
try.
one-off. You know, like not like we're gonna make this our beer, but like,
How dare you judge my American barley wine?
Is that what?
is that the reviews? Yeah. I mean, how'd you take that?
Right.
You're like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, rebranding's never the worst thing.
What can you do to adjust the alcohol content? Like, you ever made a beer like this is way too strong for regular humans? Like, I got to tone this down. Like, is it possible or?
Our biggest one is 10.5% alcohol. Is our Belgian, the devil's in the details. The yeast the alcohol levels start killing the yeast at a certain point at like 12 to 14%.
Yeah.
Except for very select strains, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, I think the alcohol can be super unbalanced. I think you get that in triple and quad IPAs. Sometimes it's like
So
really
sugary sweet.
hot. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then there's a lot of residual sugar in it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that.
Because really, when you want to get alcohol, you're just putting in sugars and hoping they get fermented out. And you just the more sugar you put in, the more alcohol you get out. But at some point, you're going to wear the yeast down.
Oh,
And I'm not a brewer, so I could be wrong. You can correct me anytime, Alex.
Seems like it's like this little dance. You got to kind of.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And it's also like the mashing process produces different proportions of multiple types of sugars, and the yeast have a specific preference by which they process like the simplest sugars first, going on to the most complex ones that they can do.
Yeah.
So-
And like when you drink a high alcohol beer, a lot of the high alcohol beers are going to be barrel aged because you can leave those residual sugars and they're eaten over time in the barrel with everything that's in the barrel.
and the actual liquor from the barrel can up
Yeah,
the
it can-
ABV as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, it's nuts. But what's the highest right now? Is it still like 41 or something like that?
Yeah, something that I haven't tried. Yeah.
Wait, somebody's making 41% alcohol beer.
Allegedly. I mean, it's not
beer anymore.
It's not.
Utopias, right?
Yeah, it's not beer. It's a cognac. I'm sorry.
yeah.
You can tell me what you want. They charge like $300 for like a little, really nice, like.
My wife.
People are making that in prison in the toilet.
Like brass.
Oh yeah, at
Carrier.
GABF there was a mini crush when Sam Adams released it this year. My wife was not happy about getting pushed around. So
Yeah.
So bad for you, random GABF attendees that I will never meet again.
Yeah. My friend spent like the $300 you need to spend to have a 10-ounce bottle of this damn thing, and
how was it?
It was like a bad cognac. I'm sorry, it's what it tasted like. I'm like, this isn't beer, and it's a bad cognac that I am putting in my mouth for how much I didn't pay for, but I'm offended for my friend. Like,
Right.
Hey, you. Do you love craft beer? Do you love craft beer brewed and bottled here in Northern California? Well, if you do, we got a magazine for you. ABV Magazine is the only local print publication covering Northern California's amazing craft beer and spirits community. Each issue features behind-the-bottle conversations, reviews, booze-based destinations, and a comprehensive guide to breweries, taprooms, bottle shops, and distilleries in Northern California. You can sign up for only $1 a month and have each issue delivered right to your front door. Check it out at abvmagazine.com. And from all of us here at ABV Magazine, cheers, and thanks for supporting local craft beer. That's abvmagazine.com, alcohol by volume.
I'm not really a big fan of barley wine. Like I remember we had this bet, like, and we used to go fishing a lot. We always get some beer, and then they got Bigfoot. So one of my friends, he was known for drinking a whole 6-pack. That was his thing.
oh man, that's nuts.
He was like, yeah, 6-pack
You shouldn't do
Dan.
that.
He's like, 6-pack Dan, and take him down by himself. So we went in the liquor store, and he was like, oh, Bigfoot. And my friend was like, I bet you can't drink a 6-pack of this. And he was like, whatever. Oh my God. We almost lost 6-pack Dan that night.
Do not recommend.
No.
I tried to sip, and I was like, this is unholy.
Oh, I remember my first barley wine. It was Bigfoot. I'm like, this is not a thing I want ever in my mouth.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm like, who enjoys this?
I do now. I
do?
enjoy the hell out of them now.
It must be an acquired taste, like blue cheese or something.
I think it is. I think it really is. Like, you have like the first thing. Like, it doesn't taste like a beer you expect. You don't expect it to taste like any beer. You don't expect any beer to taste like what it tastes like, because it's like, it's thick, it's chewy, it's very malty, but it's like overly hoppy as well, and it's like this high ABV.
Chewy.
It's just like,
It's almost chewy. You
Yeah.
almost chew it, like.
and it's just like, it doesn't. It's not natural, you know.
Nah, it doesn't seem right.
But like, then you learn, like, let it sit for a little bit and it'll mellow out a little bit, and then you can start drinking it like 4 months in, and you're like, oh shit, this is great. Like, when you go to Sierra Nevada, you can buy a 6-pack that's the last 6 years, and like every year you go back is better than the one before. Like, every time.
Do they charge different prices for them?
No, it's like, it's straight up. Like, you can't buy it individually. It's like, you get a 6-pack, or you can get current year, or you can get 6 years going back.
Oh,
One bottle from each year, 6-pack. It's like $50. But
Wow.
I did that one time. I was like,
good?
this was so good. Yeah,
barley wine.
but barley wine, it needs to be aged. I think.
Now, is
you
there
can't
better
drink-
barley wines than that one? I don't know. That's the only one I've tried. And I've never wanted to try another one after that. I was like, I'm cool. It's
Yeah.
like Bigfoot's, like, if Bigfoot
There's-
sweat and he wrung it into
There's
a
so
glass.
many good barley wines, man. It's so hard to say.
Local favorites. I love Auburn Ale House, the
Yeah.
Old Prospector barley
Prospector,
wine.
yeah.
all about that.
Yeah,
I want to try it again, man.
you should.
Yeah, I'll try it again.
I mean, because I remember my first one, I was like, nope. And now I'm like, yeah.
see, I wasn't even drinking, like, I don't think I would have liked the IPA at that point in life either. You know what I'm saying? Because I had wasn't really a big beer drinker. I know some people, like, it took me a while to get used to IPAs, but now I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I like that bite. I like the hops.
And I think it's a lot of beer. It's just like getting used to a new style is a big change, because beer styles are so different. Like, you can do a porter and a stout. If you drank stout, you can go to a porter. But other than that, like, the transitions are a little bit rough. It's a learning curve.
I really like this.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other local barley wines you really
I really
like.
like this one.
Awesome. Glad you like it. Yeah.
This was good too, though. The pineapple one.
Llama Drama. Yeah.
How'd you come up with that name?
We were gonna call it llama face, and then
Nice.
yeah,
I like that llama face.
Yeah,
But
from
then-
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, yeah, and then we ran into some copyright issues
Right?
with that, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get llama drama. Yeah. You know, it's definitely a challenge to not step on other people's intellectual property rights when you're
Yeah.
naming beers.
I'd
right?
imagine
Yeah.
like stepping on Disney's toes would be like a lot. Like they're coming.
Yeah. The mouse is coming down there.
Yeah, right.
Like all we have
Oh,
is attorneys. We don't even have employees
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
It's just attorneys. Like, hey, attorney, you're kind of bored. Start drawing some shit. Like,
I mean, if they can keep getting the copyright dates extended solely so they can maintain Mickey Mouse as a copyright, you know, don't want to mess with them. Yeah.
oh shit, what were we talking about? Barley wines?
Barley wines.
American barley wine.
Oh yes,
Yes.
I'm trying to think of other barley wines I like from around here, and my mind's just drawing a blank. Am I wrong
Have
about
one
this?
called Smells Like K Street.
That's a malt liquor.
Yeah,
Smells
yeah.
like K Street.
Wait,
my God.
who makes that?
Tilted mash.
Wait, it's called Smells Like K Street?
Yeah, it was,
I don't want nothing.
it's a one-off. It was a one-off for an
my
opening
God.
party.
Hi, Jonathan. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And also
Really
Derek,
high
what's
in
up?
uric acid.
Yeah, because they did there's a beer bar that did like an opening with like 40s, and there's also the WD-40 from Barrel Brothers.
The WD-40?
Yeah, because its initials are WD.
Oh, I can't. I'm still stuck on Smells Like K Street. That's
Yeah.
not... Like, I want to spit right now. Like, something in my mouth. There's nothing in there. But K Street stinks. Like, let me know if I go too far. I don't know. Like, I know you guys are like beer guys. Me, I'm just kind of...
I feel like you're a beer guy.
Feel like we're doing great.
Yeah,
I'm a beer guy. I mean, I like beer. Not as much as she likes beer. Like, my girl, she's the beer person. Like, hardcore beer person. Like, I'm talking about we go to the beer aisle and it's like shopping for... You would think she's buying, like, jewelry or clothes. She's like, I don't know about this one. I've had it before. What about this one? You don't like the can, the colors. I'm like...
I mean, and she's not wrong.
No, there's so much choice these days. It's
Yeah.
100% right.
You
Yeah.
know, they even have a guy, like, at Rayleigh's. We went to Rayleigh's, and there was a guy that's in the beer section to help you with the beer.
Yeah,
I was like, you knew you? I think I told him about your podcast. Remember I told you about that? I said, I met this beer dude, and he just, like, appeared, like, it's creepy because we never see him in the store, and then we're in the beer section, and he appears, like, out of thin air, like... I just keep waiting for them to say, like, oh, Jim died 7 years ago. Like some Scooby-Doo type shit. Like, how'd you meet Jim? He's been dead.
yeah. There's so much choice out there. It's just like, how do you even find a spot? You guys have managed to.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's one of the biggest challenges facing smaller breweries is how do you get shelf space in major retailers? How do you build on that? When distributors are doing resets and then they, take your bottles out of 5 stores and then your sales guy has to go store by store to like
talk it back
get
into it.
them back in. It's like, I think on our end, the main thing is just persistence. There's nothing around that, and then there's just so much quality product these days. So how you get noticed, how you market yourself, also how your salesperson just on an interpersonal way relates with people is super important. And because you encounter such a broad variety of beer buying personalities, like as you're building a distribution network, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a struggle out there.
yeah. It's doable though.
Yeah.
The quality product and persistence is like, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Yeah. But yeah, no, it is difficult, but persistence is the main thing. Just keep hustling.
Yeah. And then make sure that when you are persistent, you are offering a quality product.
That's totally
because you can get into anywhere, but can you stay anywhere?
Can you move products?
Yeah. Can you,
making is the easy part. Selling it is the second and almost bigger half of the equation. Yeah.
How hard is it for a local brewery, a local-based brewery, to get into stores and compete with some of the bigger breweries? Like, I'm pretty sure that's pretty competitive.
I would say every major retailer has a different threshold for it, and the main thing is, like, I think a lot of them have an open attitude towards taking on brands, but then you have to move well in the item category that you're in. Like they do twice a year resets or annual resets, and depending on the store, and you can lose stores and shelf space based on how you don't move, especially as a smaller brewery, because maybe you're not part of a constellation of brands blocking out a space on the shelf.
Yeah.
For us, I think it'll be really interesting because we're finally switching into canning in 16-ounce cans and distributing that, and I think it's where the distribution market has really headed for craft beer. And just, I mean, for us, that's its own growth challenge on reconfiguring the tanks and getting our schedules that much tighter, so we have like 30 barrels to can out at once, and then immediately brewing all that beer again, and it just is it's that next growth step, particularly until we have the bigger tanks for just managing all this.
Yeah, I like that move to cans from bottles. I mean, there's something to be said for a 22-ounce bottle, but like if you're just at home on a Wednesday night, like I want a beer before, like with dinner, 22 is a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas a 12 or a 16 is a little bit more manageable.
We're moving our sours into 750 milliliter format.
Oh, that's always going to be.
We're going to can because it's meant to be shared with friends. It's like really 10 ounces of sour beer is like the right amount.
The ideal, yeah.
Is that the pour for one person? 10 ounces?
Is
five
the
to 10,
cups we do? Yeah, with 2 of these. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because it's kind of like, it's like cheesecake. I don't think you can just I can only like 1.5 slices of cheesecake.
Yeah, give me that thin slice. I don't need a big, thick slice of cheesecake. Yeah.
It's way overdoing it. I love it, but I can't do all that.
Yeah.
Totally. So much acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll really chew you up.
Yeah.
Spit you out. But I like that move to cans that a lot of people are doing. And as far as like how to like build in your brand, like a lot of local like bottle shops have to take on local brands. You can't be a bottle shop and not take on local brands. It's like nearly impossible to be like, I'm just going to sell the major beers. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think there's two types of growth, right? And one is being in a lot of places but not moving really quickly. But the second one is the more meaningful type, is maybe being in a smaller number of places but having a really high retail velocity where product is moving. And as we've grown, we've really tried to target both larger retail partners and then bottle shops and stuff like that move product, because it ends up being a better relationship for both parties, right? So like I think part of our big not struggle, but growth opportunity has been like learning the accounts that have high velocity, building those relationships so they're really solid, because that increases that, just by having better relationship, it just works out better for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And totally.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, just sitting here, like cans are great for the day-to-day, but those bottles are really great for shares, which get your name out there as people send it out and like share it with friends and everything like that. It's a big part of the business, is that word of mouth. And I think now that I'm talking about it, the bottle does help a lot with that.
I think there's always room for bottles in the market. It's just, I think largely for IPAs, Pilsners, what people are drinking on a day-to-day basis, cans are really where the market has shifted. And sours in particular are, although gaining a lot of market share, still more of a niche product.
For sure.
And so are shared in a different manner than like a 4-pack Tall Boys, a pale ale.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's inherent difference in how those two are consumed.
Yeah, because you said 750 milliliter. That's the perfect way to do a sour.
Oh,
I think.
yeah. It's exactly.
It looks classier. You can see it's small and like, why is this price so high? It must be like a high quality thing that I'm having. And look at what it looks like. It's like it's a visually appealing bottle.
So it'll be in. I can't get into price points, but I think it'll be really interesting to see as we start moving more bulk on the sours, like what we can start retailing them for. Yeah.
Now, are you going Cajun cork or are you going cap?
Cap and wax dipped.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain like appeal to that as well.
Yeah.
Totally. When I see a sour that's just capped, I'm like, well, that can't be good.
You got to.
That's just leeching oxygen. Come on.
Now, I do have a question. Beer. Okay, now wine. They're always doing wine in food pairings, right? And with beer and food pairings, like, do you ever explore that? Like, what beers go good with this food?
Yeah, we definitely. Definitely. Where do I start? I think. Yeah.
Oh, what if I name a food and then you just like shout out the beer you think that the style of beer you think that would?
Yeah,
go
let's
with that?
do it.
You down?
I'm down for it.
Okay, tacos, ground beef,
Amber lager,
Perfect. Yeah, you want something with a little lime wedge
lime wedge
in there? Yeah.
Okay, lasagna.
Well, as a big lasagna eater, like,
what about you, Ben?
I'm just trying to think about what I usually drink with that. Because, like, for me, like, the lazy catch-all is to pair with an IPA of some sort. I remember one time we were out getting tacos after a set in Davis, and they were like some spicy tacos. And you're like, you know, what'd be really good with this grapefruit double IPA.
I
Remember?
said that?
Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way it's going to be good with these tacos. Then we did it, and it was delicious. I'm like, Dejan Tyler's for real. He knows what he's doing. He knows taste.
I know flavors. I remember I was like,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
flavors, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know all the terminology, but I knew no flavors.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean lasagna.
Because
Like,
still the citrus cutting through the spiciness of that taco.
yeah,
Right.
Lasagna. I mean, you could pair it with like a single IPA or like a Peroni, something like that.
Yeah,
like Italian
like a-
style lager.
Ah, yeah, Italian
Yeah.
style lager with Italian food. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that would be
Totally.
good. I feel like something aged in a wine barrel would be really good.
Yeah.
Like I'd love like a wine barrel aged like Imperial Red. It would be crushing it.
Ooh, yeah. I can see that.
Flanders red.
Yeah. Nice.
Here's the easy buffalo wings.
Good IPA, double IPA,
Double
something
IPAs
high
and lagers,
octane,
or a
cleanse the
lager,
palate.
a crisp
Yeah,
lager
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, something to get me there watching the football game. You know,
Yeah.
high octane for me with the wings, definitely.
Gotta be. You ever notice that? Like for me, if I eat spicy food, beer makes it worse. Like spice, it doesn't like
Because there's spicy hops. Like you just really crush it.
I don't know what it is about like beer. For some reason, if I'm eating like really spicy food and I drink a beer, I think the bubbles like make everything hotter. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
You ever had that experience?
I no, but
Like, I like beers never put the fire out. It's kind of like throwing
Oh yeah,
gas on
no,
it.
yeah, it won't ever put the fire out for sure. It's not
carbonation affecting perceived spiciness. Yeah,
I think that might be it.
Right.
Because the bubbles hurt at that point.
oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they just kind of keep it where it is for me. But I have seen, I think like a really harsh IPA, I've seen like build up that spicy.
Yeah.
Because you can have the spicy hops that make it harsh.
Spicy and bitter combo. Yeah, totally.
Is anybody doing that? Is anybody doing beer and food pairings?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
constantly.
we're
Like around here?
Oh yeah.
We're in the process of adding a kitchen at Big Stump right now.
Oh, yeah.
Probably Q1 of 2019, and then that'll allow us to do more like cheese and food pairings, and just kind of the second half behind the bar over there. But it's definitely, it's something people want, is like to have a little food with craft beer or wine. And I think there's a lot of similarities totally. And with us, I think, a lot of it'll, working titles, Big Stump Brew Co. and Grilled Cheese Emporium, although we will have some specialties as well, right? Yeah.
No. Let's explore that, man. Yeah. I like the Grilled Cheese Emporium. That sounds official.
Right? Yeah. I'm the mayor of grilled cheese. Yeah.
I can't think of a beer that wouldn't go with grilled cheese.
I have a name, Phantom Limburger.
Phantom Limburger. People have to want to eat it. Oh my god!
I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Yeah. That's reasonable.
The equipment is now ours.
Yeah. Let's just finish up. I'm gonna go.
Oh, we're done? Because I have some questions about the Street Fighter. Like, who... are you a video gamer?
Yes.
Okay, me too. What's your system?
Mostly retro stuff at this point. So I've been playing through these Super Nintendo games, and about 20 hours in on Final Fantasy III right now. The world's already broken in half. I'm in the airship gathering the remaining party members so I can right everything that's wrong in the world. I'm also 62% through Donkey Kong Country.
Nice.
Wow. What was your most memorable video game accomplishment?
Oh, this is so dorky and wholesome, but when the Karate Kid video game came out for Super Nintendo, I couldn't beat the final level. My dad beat it with me. Like, oh, feels. Yeah.
Wait, you beat Karate Kid? That game was ridiculously hard. It was so glitchy. Like, there's some parts where
remember with the chopsticks and the flies?
This is not fair. Like, there's no way I'm doing this.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I have no victory things. Like, anytime I had, like, oh, I beat this game, my sister Catherine would come in and just kick my ass at it every time. Like, not even close. Like, I could beat Super Mario Brothers 1 in, like, 15 minutes. She's like, I'm going to do it in 9. I'm like, come on. Like, what do you want from me?
Very nice.
I have an older brother. He's 10 years older than me. And I remember when I was playing Zelda 2, Adventure of Link. And I had invested, like, many, many hours into that game. And, it was one of the first games that actually saved your progress on the cartridge. So you have your little profiles you pick. It have your name. And so my brother was like, you play the game all the time. Older kid goes, why do you just play that game? I'm like, because it's cool, man. I got this sword, man. I'm doing things. Right? I'm out here in the Hyrule, these Hyrule streets.
Yeah.
Streets of Hyrule, getting it in, right? And he never understood it. So one day, I came home, I turned the game on. I was almost done with the game. I was close. And my profile name, it just said, fuck you, go outside. Or he made a sentence he erased all the profiles and made a sentence out of the names. It was something crazy. I was like, man, I was so hurt. I was like, dude, to this day, I've never beat Zelda 2 Adventure of Link.
Oh, man.
Well, sounds like there could be some healing.
I know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to play Zelda 2.
Yeah. No, I stopped playing video games after Super Nintendo came out because I was like, I can do 2 buttons. I can do 3 buttons, Sega. There's 4 buttons and a top left and right. I'm like, I don't have the dexterity for this. Man. I don't have it.
That's when it got interesting for me.
Oh, man, I just went out to North Dakota for terrible reasons, funeral. And my brother-in-law has this arcade game. It's the first ever racing game that actually had kickback when you're steering. Like if you're making a turn, you can feel the turn, and you get bumped, you can feel the bump.
Oh yeah, haptic.
And it was awesome. It was from 1984, and
how was it?
You got to brake when you're going through those turns, or else you'll just fly off. Oh my god, it was so fun. And I remember this one time, this comedian. This is an old story. I've been doing comedy for decades. This one comedian told me that I was the best drunk driver he'd ever seen. not the best as a youth,
the best.
But I my brother-in-law was playing it. His neighbor was playing it. My nephews were playing it. All this stuff, and I was like, I don't really want to play it. But then I got 3 or 4 beers. He's like, I'll do it. First time through, I beat it, and nobody else had beaten it yet. I'm like, All right, that's not helping my reputation whatsoever.
Were you drinking beer while you're playing?
Yeah, just like, got it. Like, it turns out you can reach the finish line. I don't know if you guys know that, but you can reach the finish line and like get more time and like get challenged to a championship race with this one car. You can do that.
You didn't know that?
I learned that. I learned that the first time I played.
Losers.
Then the next day I did it sober and I was awful. I was awful at it.
Hold my beer. I'm going to
But
drive it.
that might have just been
Definitely that
overconfidence.
zone. Yeah.
Now, how many games are on that?
24 games.
24? That's
Yeah,
it?
that's it.
Oh, man.
Seems like a lot.
It's a lot though, because it's like good games.
But they're bigger games, though, yeah. Like, Chrono Trigger was one of my favorite games.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
Chrono
Chrono
Trigger,
Trigger, big
yes.
fan. That was like the first. When I beat that, me and my brother were like dancing. We were like, yeah. We were like celebrating.
Wow. That brings back memories.
Yeah, that one's good.
Other than that, we have a Street Fighter tournament. We have Mario Kart tournaments on it sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Good vibe for the tap room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We haven't had someone rage quit and smash a controller against the wall, but I suspect it's just a matter of time.
We're all adults now. We don't have
I don't
that
know.
temper anymore, hopefully.
I don't know. They're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you're tempting fate every time you do it.
I've seen the video clips on YouTube. There's some raging. Have you ever seen the FIFA? Like, because FIFA's big. Like, here in the States, we play Madden. John Madden football's the big thing. Everybody else is playing soccer, though. So FIFA's like the big game. And I've seen kids, like, kick their TV screens in, like, throw their little brother out the window, like, crazy stuff because they're mad at they're losing in FIFA. And I don't even understand the rules of soccer yet. I'm like, I don't understand what happened just now. You just lost the TV, though.
I don't know why you're mad.
Right.
Let alone.
Yeah, the score's still 0-0. Like, I don't know. What's the big deal?
It's like, I didn't pull the bicycle kick. I'm like, well, you didn't put Liu Kang in the game. What do you want from me? Yeah.
Oh, man.
I feel like I need to give an injury update. I've noticed on the last episode I talked about how I'd injured my my leg while playing wiffle ball during the Savage Henry Comedy Festival.
Wait, during the
Yeah. I was playing wiffle ball.
Yeah. All right.
I tore a muscle in my leg.
Oh, dude, man.
Yeah,
Ow.
running. Being fat and out of shape and running. That's
We
what
are
I
that
did.
age, man. Yeah, we don't need a lot to get an injury.
So yeah, I thought I'd like pulled a muscle or tore a muscle in my leg. I just got the diagnosis a little bit ago. I completely tore my plantaris tendon, which started to roll up my leg along with the muscle. But here's the great thing: it's not the plantar tendon that you're thinking. The plantaris tendon is throwback to the Cro-Magnon era. Completely unnecessary tendon and completely unnecessary muscle. But my body still reacted like it was a bad thing because it's a torn tendon, so I was limping around for 2 weeks.
So what did they take it out? Or?
No, you don't even need to. It'll just get reabsorbed into the body over time.
So it's just dangling around in there?
It's just hanging out, yeah.
Unhooked to nothing? Like a
Yeah, it
loose
doesn't-
suspender?
It's like a
Yeah,
flap
like-
of meat just hanging out in your leg.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just take it out. Probably looks like bacon.
Well, once you start doing surgery on legs and knees and feet, like that's gonna be a problem. Like you never recover fully from those kinds of surgeries. Like, well, it doesn't affect your mobility. Like we've developed muscles that do what those things do anyway and better. So your body doesn't need this thing; it just has it.
Do you feel it though? Like, can you feel it's like?
Oh yeah, there's like it's like a hardness back there. Yeah, and like if I don't rest it enough, like I'll still get sore. Because my body's too stupid to know it doesn't need it yet. You're like, yeah, it takes your body a little bit of time to like get used to not having it. That's really all it is your body's like, oh no, something broke. And then like, oh wait, we don't need this thing.
I never thought about humanity evolving to the point where we can just like dispose of certain body parts.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think we don't need your spleen, right?
Yeah, the appendix.
Or the appendix.
Yeah,
you need a
yeah.
spleen.
Yeah, you still need a spleen very much.
Which one don't you need?
Appendix, and then wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I thought it was a spleen. Like, you don't have a spleen,
no.
you can still
If
live.
you get a spleen, I thought it was bad if you hurt your spleen.
No, if your spleen gets taken out, you can still live.
Probably.
don't think
That
anybody
sounds
dies
right. I
from
feel like
lack
the
of
spleen
spleen.
injury was like a childhood lie.
I'm a brewer, not a doctor. Damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jim.
I mean, I'll get my team on it down the way. They'll start doing the research and they'll kick me the answer in a second here. Oh, what's that? It's just me? Okay. So, I think I wanted to give that update as far as that's all concerned.
Better.
So, D,
Yeah.
where can people find your album?
Man, that's a good question. You can find my album anywhere you find digital media. So it is on Pandora. You can stream it on Pandora. You can stream it on Spotify. You can purchase it on Amazon. You can also purchase it on iTunes, Kevin Hart's LOL Network,
Nice.
Raw Radio, and I believe Sirius Satellite. Sirius Radio. I think Sirius is Raw Radio. One of those. But yeah, anywhere. It's called Get Rich or Diabetes. It's hilarious. I'm proud of it. It is the culmination of my journey in comedy thus far. So,
And where can people find you on social media and on the internet?
on the nets, on the webs. DTyler916 on Instagram. DTyler916. And on Facebook, it'd just be my name, Dejan Tyler, which is a DJNTYLER. And I have a food review show that I do called D's Eats, where I go around and I eat food and talk about the food I'm eating. You'll find that on Facebook too.
And you can also follow him with the hashtag Underground Soup King.
Yes, hashtag Underground Soup King, which now I regret because, like, no, I love the name. I think the name is dope. But when I look at my Instagram, like, there's way more tacos and nachos than soups. Because I did go on this kick where I was like, I'm going to eat 40 different soups in 40 days. Every day a different soup. I'm not eating nothing but soup. It did not work. Like, one day my mom, she was like, oh, I'm cooking. And I'm like, oh, I got this soup. And she's like, well, I made, like, these pork chops. And I was like, and I'm eating the pork chops and the soup is sitting on the counter in the to-go box. And I was like, this 40 days is over.
And Alex, what about you guys at Big Stump? What events you guys have coming up? Where can you find you on the internet?
So let's see. Instagram at Big Stump Brew Co. Website is www.bigstumpbrewco.com. Tap room is at 1716 L Street. We're in Midtown Sacramento. And other than that, best way to come try the beers is like come to the tap room.
Try the beers. Beer's good. I like it.
And I'd like to thank you for making a delicious pumpkin beer. Available through Thanksgiving, I hope.
Hopefully,
or available.
super limited batch. Come get it while you can.
Yeah. So if you're a pumpkin beer guy,
Yeah. By the time this podcast is out, it'll be gone.
probably. Ideally, it'll be gone, but if it's not.
Only pumpkin? How come nobody does like a sweet potato beer?
There we go.
No?
Asking the important questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like with sweet potato beer, I think that would be like dope. They're making French fries out of
You
it.
could.
I'm thinking it's just because there's not enough liquid, really, in them.
Sweet potato, there's not.
Yeah, versus versus pumpkin. Is that right? I don't even know.
I'd have to look at how you mash it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've had sweet potato pie
Yeah, delicious.
and I've had pumpkin pie,
Yeah.
and it's the same concept.
It is.
Yeah.
So, what's up, man? You gonna get a sweet potato? Sweet potato ale?
Yes. Love it. Awesome.
That's just me for the pumpkin beer guys. Sorry, everybody. Got off topic. Yeah, do you guys have any events coming up or anything like that?
Events. We'll be open on Thanksgiving. I'll be personally working the tap room from 11 to 2. And I think it's half off growler fills that day. Other than that, website's the best way to check what's going on. We got live music coming through occasionally. We have a dog fundraiser, I think, November 3rd with the SPCA. And but website's definitely the best place to stay updated on everything.
And then as far as Barley and me, you can follow me across social media at Barley and Me Pod. Email questions, comments, concerns to barleyandmepodcast@gmail.com. You can get t-shirts at Zen Threads. That's zen-threads.com. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. Alex Larrabee from Big Stump Brewing.
Thank you.
And Dejan Tyler, comedian.
Thank you.
Wonderful human being. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right.
This has been episode 87 of Barley Me. Thank you so much for listening. Get home safe.
Look, my name is Dejan Tyler. It's not Dejan. Okay, I say that because people been calling me Dejan my whole life, and I don't even know that dude. Dejan is a mustard. Dejan is the man. It even rhymes, right? When I was playing football, side note, I did make the team, but not because I was good. It's just because I went to a bad school, and the person who had my position originally had shot somebody. So I'll take that uniform. You ain't doing nothing with it. Just sew them hoes up. And we be running laps, and the coach would be like, yo, Dejan Mustard, catch up to the rest of the team. And I'd be like, that's a good idea. Ketchup, mustard. I see where you're going with this, coach. That's why you're the coach. Ham, cheese. Come on, I like where this is going. Bacon, lettuce. Let's do this. You probably can't tell by looking at me. I'm biracial. I'm half thug, half nerd. It's caused me a lot of stress and strife in my life, being biracial, because people don't understand you. And sometimes I get my genres mixed up. And just the fact that I use words like genre means I have no business in the gang at all. Because I believe in magic. I do. I don't know if y'all do, but if you ever had a cup of noodle, you know magic is real. Right? That's all it takes. You mean like 3 minutes to make this into delicious soup? I gotta see this. But that's the most important part to having a cup of noodles, about patience. You gotta approach a cup of noodle like you approach the first time you're having sex with a beautiful lady. You don't just peel the lid off. You'll rip it. You gotta peel the lid off gently like in delicate panty draws. Because if you rip the lid, it's not gonna cook right. Right? The magic is ruined. The best magic happens behind the curtain. If the curtain's open, you just fuck the trick up. You see the magician running around. So now when you first get your cup of noodle, the first thing you do, you open the lid, hopefully gently like panty draws. And you look inside, and what do you see? You see shoestring carcasses. Because the noodles look like dead shoestrings. Like, who killed these? You're gonna see shoestring cartridges, and you're gonna see some Section 8 playground dirt. And some green glitter and some orange glitter. Now, don't throw that away. That is not stripper shrapnel. Which is very hard to say. That is the vegetables. The green glitter will turn into peas. The orange glitter will turn into carrots. That is magic. You have 3 minutes. Now you got 3 minutes. So you got the hot water in there. Put the lid back on. Hopefully it's not ripped. You got 3 minutes. That's where it gets interesting, people. Because that 3 minutes is your 3 minutes. You own that 3 minutes. That is your 3 minutes. You can do whatever you want to do. I like to smoke weed during my 3 minutes. And I come back an hour later with McDonald's. Because I forgot I had a noodle cooking. I'm like, oh, who did this? Oh, we got appetizers. Oh, we got appetizers. We in there. One time I stayed gone so long, I came back, it was a real piece of chicken in the cup. With the bone and everything.